guys, welcome to this episode of KB's Kentucky Countryside Pursuit. This week we're going to be talking about my buck that I harvested for the 24-25 season here in Kentucky. I was able to take him down on the 15th of September, the start of the second week of archery season here in Kentucky. I was lucky enough to get this buck first on camera just a week and a half before season started. I had him coming into a field that I hunt the edge of and was able to pretty much get him down on a routine pretty quickly. I saw him one Thursday evening. He came out 150 yards ahead of me and was walking right to me. But unfortunately, when he got to 100 yards, he kind of stopped, turned, and went in the other direction. So it was kind of disheartening that night, but it was great to see him and be able to kind of get him on a pattern. I just crossed the field and jumped the fence. Dang it. That was a buck of a lifetime. 100 yards. Oh. He was a Big 12 point with double drop tine, symmetrical, so they were equal on both sides of him. It was an exhilarating hunt. I went out on Sunday the 15th, as I mentioned. I got into my stand early. I get in there about 3 o'clock. It was really, really hot out, and I just sat still. Had another skipper come out, little 4-pointer, stood out there in front of me for about 45 minutes at about 20 yards and just was eating the corn pile, munching on some greens, and just kind of moseying around. But he stuck around for a little while, and at that point I really felt like that was all I was going to see it for the day. But I stuck it out, sat still, and then right at nightfall, right at last light, was when it all went down. So I'm up in my stand looking back behind me into the woods, but being right on that wood edge at dusk, I really could not see into the woods, but I knew there was something back there. So I just sat still, and then probably about 10 minutes before we're getting close to the end of shooting light, I peeked over my right shoulder, and 10 feet away from me, he was standing. So he came in downwind, 10 feet from my stand, came out into the field and circled around right in front of me, just as I had hoped. It played out perfect. He walked over to that corn pile that I had there, froze, and then I put a sever right through him. He's down. He just came in, literally run about 15 yards and dropped. I can still hear him wheezing, so we're going to give him a few minutes here. He ran about 15 yards, stood there for about, seemed like 5 minutes, but I'm sure it was probably 5-10 seconds at most, and then kind of just stumbled backwards, and that was it. Right there on the field edge, didn't have to track him. He just dropped, and boy, was I excited. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get too much footage of this hunt. Really, none of the hunt itself. I got a little bit of footage, obviously, when I first got up in the stand and the little skip. But with it being right at last light, the last thing I wanted to do was turn on any of the 3 cameras that I had mounted in front of me on my shooting rail and illuminate the sky and him, spot me and get spooked and take off. So didn't get the shot or anything on video, but it was an exhilarating hunt. Bunch of photos I'll put up here in this episode, and then a little video clip that I took at the end when I was dropping him off at the processor. But this was, again, my target buck for the season. I nicknamed him Optimus Prime for short. And it's not very often that a hunt works out just as you had planned, but I got lucky. Again, like I mentioned, I patterned this deer very, very quickly. He was one of the few bigger bucks that I had on camera at that farm, and honestly, the only one that I have seen that has stuck around since the season started. So that's, how it all went down this year. Super, super happy to get my big buck out of the way. He's at the processor now, or excuse me, he's at the taxidermist now. Going to have him put into a shoulder mount to display here in my office. But so yeah, absolutely thrilled. A double drop time, deer of a lifetime for most hunters. So super stoked. So here's what I do have of him and a little bit of footage that I was able to capture that day. KB's Kentucky Countryside Pursuit. So, although I didn't get any video of the shot because it was right at last light and it was too dark for my cameras to pick them up, this is the buck that I have been after. This was my target buck for the 2024-25 season, and he messed up tonight, and I did not. Right at last light, he came in directly behind me, walked probably about 10 feet away from my stand, came up in front of me, cut around to a corn pile that I had about 15 yards away. As soon as he stopped, I was able to put a sever right through his heart and drop him within 15 yards. He is an absolutely beautiful deer of a lifetime for me. 2 drop tines on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 countable points. So yeah, I am beyond ecstatic that I've got this buck tonight. I saw him Thursday night, 150 yards, came at me at 100 yards. He turned left and turned right and went off into another field. So I was a little bummed. Next day it was raining. I went out, put down some corn, some apple scented corn, and threw some cherry gelatin on top of it. He was there that night. He was there last night. And so I went up tonight, and again, he came in behind me, downwind, didn't win me at all, came around, and here he is. Again, I wish I had gotten footage of the shot and everything else, but it was just too dark. So just wanted to kind of get a couple pictures here with him before I drop him off at the processor and head on home to shower and head to bed. Thanks for tuning in, guys. My 2024-25 buck, Optimus Prime nickname. I am beyond ecstatic to have this deer sitting in the bed of my truck right now.